Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to another episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Brian Grimes. Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into the topic.
So I'm Brian Grimes. I'm a developer from Philadelphia. Kind of got started about a decade ago. Graduated from Columbia University up in New York City, and just really built a large development company out of town, investing in C-class neighborhoods across the country. So, Philly, my hometown, which is where I'm from, kind of grew up there during that Allen Iverson era, if you're into basketball.
Yeah.
So in Philly, Baltimore, South Jersey, properties out in Texas, certainly in New York as well. So just tapping into those C-class neighborhoods that are neighborhoods like the ones that I grew up in. So it's near and dear to my heart, and it's been a passion that I followed.
So when you started, I'm guessing you started in your own backyard and then you branched out?
Yeah, that was the plan, right? So I was working as a financial advisor. So I came right out of college, and I didn't follow that path that they kind of push you into in the Ivy League, which is like investment banking. I thought, I want to be my own boss. I want to have that financial freedom. So I got into financial planning to learn about that and make my own hours. I ended up making about $6,000 my first year, all commissions, and just struggling, right? Living at home. So I saved my money and I studied for 2 years about real estate. And I bought my first property in my backyard. I had a mentor who he works with like Magic Johnson and TD Jakes and a lot of people. He does commercial real estate for Bank of America, commercial lending. And he would give me investment principles. A guy was from Trenton area. And he would tell me, buy where you know, rent to who you know, and you'll always be successful. That was like the number one principle he gave me. So I bought in my backyard. I got a duplex with a knock-in basement unit. And I was going to live in the basement and rent out the top 2 floors. I did an FHA house hack, but I ended up getting a job. Yeah, it was great. I ended up getting a job for an investment firm up in New York, a high net worth asset management firm. So I took the job in New York and ended up renting out the entire building and was making about $1,000 a month in cash flow on my first deal, FHA. I put $7,000 down and was cash flowing $1,000 a month. Right. Awesome. So I got all my money back in 7 months and just kept going from there. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me the story. Like, how do you continue through this to be getting to the big units? When do you make the transition? How many houses did you buy that were like the little guys first?
I actually believe in finding that sweet spot, right? That middle point. So there's a market out there, especially in these C-class neighborhoods, that's too big for the mom and pops to get to. It's too expensive, and it's too small for the institutions to come down to. Yeah. So there's this sweet spot that nobody's attacking. So I stayed within that residential space, multifamily, single family, but I started doing it at volume. So the thought process was to scale it up and build out crews, build out systems, use technology. I'm a big believer that the apps that exist today, the technology that exists today, it wasn't around 20 years ago. So those developers who are learning in their 20s, 30s, even 40s, they don't really know how to develop like people do today with this technology. So I started to build these systems that allowed me to scale that residential market into kind of a commercial operation where we were doing as many as 20 to 30 deals a month with about 100, 150 contractors, trucks, 20,000 square foot warehouse, kind of everything that comes with it. Security cameras everywhere. I put 200 security cameras in North Philly all throughout. So just doing a lot of things that people really haven't done before. But that was kind of my philosophy, was to institutionalize this space that's traditionally mom and pop. People were doing 1 or 2 deals a year. I wanted to do, I think in 2019, we did 153 full gut rehabs, burst strategy, smack right in Philly. Yeah.
So where did you get the knowledge to do that? Was it from the mentor? Was it from a book? Like, where did you?
Hard Knocks, right? just like you, Glenn.
Yeah.
The school of, I've watched a lot of your content. The school of Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah.
So my story is no different than anyone else's. Probably no different than your story. You go out, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You want to do some deals. You find a contractor. He gives you the best price, right? You don't go with the guy who has the most expensive price. You go with the cheapest price because you say, hey, even if something goes wrong, I can recover.
Yeah.
That guy runs off with 40, 50 grand. And then you realize that, hey, I better get serious if I want to survive this thing, because it's not the 9 to 5. It's not corporate America. This is a different beast. This is blue collar. And you have to learn and really pay attention, or you can lose serious money really fast. Unfortunately, a decade ago, social media wasn't built out to the way it is now. Even YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of these platforms that have mentors that you can access today, they weren't there 10 years ago. So you just have to learn from the school of hard knocks. And that's how I learned, one deal at a time, getting that knowledge, paying attention, boots on the ground, and then walking through those full gut rehabs over and over until we got better. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any tips for like dealing with contractors so they don't walk away with 40 grand of your money?
I do. I teach, and I have a master class where I teach all of this stuff, right? Yeah. And it's one of my number one principles is control the money. This is where people go wrong, right? He who controls the money, he or she, but we'll just say he who controls the money is the boss, right? So if you go and pay everybody, even the subs, I'll let a GC come in and they'll say, okay, here's the bid, here's what we're paying everybody. I have to know what everybody's being paid. And I'm going to pay everybody. I'm going to control the money throughout that project because then I'm the boss. Because there's this psychological thing. Whoever's paying your check or signing that check, that's the boss. So you start to garner respect from the contractors and you can control timelines a bit better. What most new investors do, because they don't have the confidence yet, is they get the GC, they give the GC the money, and then the GC's the boss. But the problem with making the GC the boss is GCs aren't necessarily good asset managers, right? They're good contractors, but that doesn't mean they're good at managing money. This is a whole different discipline. And I learned that from kind of being a financial planner and managing money for millionaires. It's a different discipline. Yes. So you don't want to give your money to GCs because you don't know what type of money manager they are. And what I've seen more times than not is it's not malicious when GCs run off with money. They're truly just bad money managers. They don't see it coming. And they wake up one day, the money's gone, the project's not there, and they don't know what else to do but run. So it's a bad setup for everybody. Everyone's more comfortable in the long haul if you control the money. You'll be happier. Even if it goes wrong, you are in control and you can recover a lot faster.
That's interesting. And so if you're paying everybody, all the subs, you also have to pay the GC as well. So you know exactly. And how do you, because normally when I'm paying for certain pieces through the job pieces that are done. So if you're paying in pieces, you pay like a certain percentage of the pieces to the GC, or how do you pay the GC?
Because because of how I built out my company, right? I built it out organically, contractor by contractor, and I started to pay guys by the day. So I wanted to understand the cost of labor, and I break this down in my 100 Keys Masterclass. I show you what a plumber cost, an electrician cost, an HVAC tech, a helper, a skilled guy, a semi-skilled guy. I show you what everybody costs. So I could sit down with the GC and say, okay, so you're going to wire the house. Well, that's going to take 2.5 days to rough in, a day and a half to finish. How many guys are you going to use? Well, I'm going to use 5 guys. Okay, you're going to use 2 skilled guys and 3 helpers. I know exactly what they cost roundabout. That's what you're paying them. Here's your overhead. I don't have a problem with guys making money. But I already know the game so well, and I teach my students that that knowledge and skill set that we can sit down with the GC and actually break out their profit. It's not about them making money. It's just about everybody being on the same page. Because when those draws are coming in from the hard money lender, we just want everybody to understand how the money's being made, everybody's getting paid, and everybody's on the same page. We're a team. So I don't allow my GC to sit on an opposite side of the table from me. Like, oh, don't worry about what's behind this veil. We're together in this project. We're going to win together. We're going to lose together. And that's the only way we could scale up to do, 20, 30 deals a month is if we all are, at that level of understanding. So it's kind of more of a relationship building exercise, I'd say, than really stepping on toes or trying to cut out their profit. I want everybody to make money.
Cool. Yeah. So say you're someone who wants to go from doing, 2 or 5 deals a month up to the 20 or 30 mark, what kind of systems should people be getting in place? Is it people? Is it software? What should they be looking for?
It's a combination of the two. I say at a bare minimum, when you're trying to make that scale, what the big one of the biggest barriers is theft. It's materials are everywhere, right? So when you go from doing one deal, you buy your materials, you stuff them in the property, the guys put them back together, and that's it. It's pretty simple. Even at 5, you can kind of do that. When you get to 10 to 20, materials are flying everywhere, and it's hard to keep track. It's very easy for a bad egg to come in and over order and take that material off site and go build their own project. So having a tracking system in place, like I bought a warehouse, and then I programmed out an entire inventory tracking software system. So it's something I talk about as well with my students. But we preach that, track every screw, every nail, and you have to learn what every screw, every nail is. Once you put together 5 properties, if you're doing that monthly, you should generally know what goes into a property on average, especially if you're full gut rehabbing, right?
Yeah.
So doing that. The second system is you need security systems in place. You need cameras for 2 reasons. One, there's break-ins. I just got an email the other day saying, somebody fired a contractor and they got mad and broke in and destroyed. I mean, they totaled the house, right? But they didn't have any security cameras in place. They weren't one of my students. Because my students know I put the security camera in place not only for a break-in from somebody in the neighborhood who's watching your contractors go in and out with materials, but from your own people, because you don't know who's having a bad day or who has a bad theft habit. So you need those cameras on your properties. You can get Arlo cameras. You can get Wise cams. The Wise cams cost $25 a cam. You have a smartphone, application you put right on your phone. And if somebody goes in, it takes time for them to rip your property apart. It takes a contractor hours to rip your property apart. It takes the cops 2 minutes to show up, and you'll get an alert the second that door opens. So having those security cameras in place is key. And then having boots on the ground. If you're not going to be there, I tell people all the time, if you don't know anybody sitting on the couch in the city you want to invest in, I'll find you somebody. There are lots of people out of work, sitting on the couch, recently graduated, not making it happen, that you could put an extra $100 a week into their pocket. They'll show up with a smartphone and they'll video everything. And what you do is you send them in round robin. So this week they show up Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The next week, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, or whatever days people are working. And they're just walking through and filming things. So many people don't do that basic system of just sending somebody in to film the work. In real estate, you expect what you inspect. If you don't see it, it doesn't exist. It didn't happen. I mean, I'm sure, Glenn, you've had contractors tell you, oh, the work's 100% done. The draw inspector shows up. Nothing's done, Glenn. We can't release the money. So this happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's those 3 systems, I think. Tracking your materials, security, and then having boots on the ground to inspect so that you can only expect what you inspect. If you do those 3 things, you'll be fairly successful. You won't get burned.
And then when you're paying these boots on the ground, do you pay them per property, or do you do it like, hey, I'm just going to give you, it should take you like 3 hours to get through this stack of properties?
Yeah, I'll do it like, my favorite people are like a guy or a gal that drives like Uber. So you drive Uber, you're driving around the city anyway. Hey, I got 3 projects. If you pop in, 3 times a week, I'll slide you an extra $100. It's beer money or something, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm always about preaching the future, right? You have to, before you get to 20 deals, you have to talk to everybody about 20 deals. You become the 20 deal guy, right?
Yeah,
Everybody you talk to, every contract, hey, we're going to be scaling up to 20 deals. We're going to do 20 deals. Hey, did you hear about the 20 deals? Once you become that voice box, you're going to start to attract people who want to grow with you. So even that boots on the ground person, I'm telling them, look, it's $100 a week now, but I'm going to scale you up. And once we get enough, that 20 deals, I'm going to bring you on more and more. It's going to be more money, more opportunity. You might even be able to dump Uber and get more money, with us. So I'm going to make you a chief inspector here. I always try to grow internally, not pulling in people external and putting them over top of my people. I like to elevate people who've been with me since the beginning. I find that the loyalty that builds it's just huge. And loyalty is everything in this business.
I love it. There's a lot of tips in here. I'll probably listen to this one myself again. Brian, your coaching program, tell me a little bit about that, or masterclass.
So I founded the 24/7 Cash Flow University, and I built it for people who want to invest in real estate, do that burst strategy, but do it out of town. Do it like a 2021 investor, right?
Yeah.
Leverage technology, build passive income, but do it anywhere. I want your money to go where it goes the furthest, right? This is what asset managers do. They don't just buy the most expensive stuff. They look for undervalued stocks, undervalued securities, and that's where they put the money, and they wait for it to rise to fair market value. So we have that same philosophy. The masterclass, it has about 40 hours of content, of video based tutorial content through Teachable. We do live calls once a week. One is like a Q&A. The next week is topic based. Like next week, we're going to be talking about creative financing strategies like sub 2 and wrap mortgages, mirror wraps, and all of that fun stuff now that the foreclosure moratorium is over and that opportunity is going to be coming down. So we do a lot of that training, and it comes with text and email access. You have somebody like me who's done over 300 full gut rehabs in major cities across the country, watching over your deals, connecting you with lenders, connecting you with contractors, connecting you with these resources, and really just being there so that you have less of a chance of getting burned. I also do site visits for some of my people who are close by, if I can. Like I really live and breathe this stuff. I love it. So that's the course. And you can, if you find me on Instagram, or my YouTube is Brian Loves Cash Flow. You guys can find me and find the links to all that. I'm hopeful Glenn will share that as well. I'm sure he will.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not going to cut it out.
Yeah, no, I know. But that's the masterclass. And I put it together. Also, I have people from Canada, actually, who live out in Canada, who are in the masterclass, learning how to invest in U.S. real estate from Canada, from even, out of the country. And I believe in that because the systems, there were times like I haven't gone to Philly for 8 months and the company's still chugging along, running, everything smooth. I'm sitting back behind my smartphone because you can see more. And I learned this. Once you get to 10 plus deals, I was driving into Philly, and by the time you get there, boots on the ground, everybody's pulling at you. You're the boss. Everybody wants to talk and show you everything. You see 4 deals. You drive back. You're exhausted.
Yeah.
You get your smartphone and all the systems that I show you in the 100 Keys Masterclass, you can see 40 deals in a day, 50 deals in a day. So it became incredibly inefficient for me to actually be on site. I became so much more efficient as a manager, as a boss, back in my, sitting at home in your underwear by your iPad and your smartphone than I was on site. And once I found that, I said, I got to teach people how to do this. This is incredible.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm literally just rereading the EMyth right now. And yeah, it's all about separating yourself and pulling yourself back out of it, because you get drawn in, where I think most of us are technicians. We get pulled into doing the work and being there. And
yeah. I mean, we love it, right? We're real estate-aholics. We should be in a group together. But we love it. So going out, it's part of why we got this far, right? But you have to, as you elevate, you have to step back and be what your company needs, not necessarily, what got you started. Yeah.
Awesome. Besides what you just gave us for the your contact information, is there anywhere else that they should find you? Or is that's where we should be going?
On Instagram, you can find me it's at 247 Cash Flow University. YouTube, Brian Loves Cash Flow. You can email me at brian@247cashflowuniversity.com. That's the best ways to find me, right? I'm on Facebook as well, Brian Grimes. You can find me there. We have a private Facebook group, but I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. If you go on my Instagram, you can text me. My cell phone number is listed there. You can text me with questions. You can inquire about anything. I'm very easy to get a hold of.
That's great. Thank you for coming on the show, Brian. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of value here for people.
No, I appreciate you having me. Some of my students from Canada, when I told them I was going to be on a podcast, they said, "Oh, Glenn, you're going to be on with Glenn? I said, yeah, you guys, he said, Glenn's the best. Glenn's the biggest podcast for real estate in Canada. So it's amazing.
I don't know about that, but it's getting popular.
No, they swear, listen, they swear by you. So what you've been able to produce is amazing. You're helping a lot of people, and I appreciate you having me. I'm honored to be a guest.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
All righty. Thanks, Glenn.